Way the polls that we have out of Florida show Marco Rubio is trailing Donald Trump. Glenn Hall is here. He's the U.S. News editor for the Wall Street Journal. If you look at the map of the 13 SEC primary states, they're not all in the SEC, but a lot of them are. If you look at the map, Donald Trump is cruising across almost the entire swath of them. Is it over?
Look, it's piling up for Donald Trump, and he's looking pretty solid. As you mentioned earlier, 46% in Nevada is more than we had seen in a long time. This is his peak, so he's able to consolidate those voters. And the interesting thing is the wide array of support that he's pulling in. It's not just that classic Trump voter that we've talked about before, but you're starting to see others pulling into the Trump camp as well.
Isn't it all anger?
It's anger, it's economic dissatisfaction, it's unhappiness with the way Washington is run. All of those things combine to make him look like an interesting outsider candidate.
It can't be that they say, oh, well, here's Trump's policy on this, that, or the other thing, because he hasn't laid out any policies on anything. I mean, except for build a wall, which isn't going to happen, because Mexico is not going to pay for it. So what is it, if not just anger or screw you party and screw you Washington? You haven't listened to us, screw you. I don't care. This guy's bombastic. I relate to him.
Well, that tough talk is playing well, right? You're looking for somebody who's going to be decisive, make a difference, and there's a lot of that. I think you're right. The anger that's out there is boiling up, and people want to see change, and he's the one who seems to them to represent the most opportunity for change, real change.
Of course, words are not a plan for change. You have to get a plan together, then you have to figure out how to get it through Congress. And will there come a time, maybe there's only two left, that those two could be the Democratic nominee and the Republican nominee, Trump. At that point, won't there be a focus on issues that could derail this, or is it just a fait accompli?
Well, I think if we go to the general election and Donald Trump is the nominee, then issues are going to become a much bigger deal. So far this primary season, there's not been a lot about issues.
Why? For instance, there's article after article after article. If anybody wants to read it, you can just begin with Trump's business acumen in New York. The big banks won't deal with him anymore. They won't lend him money anymore. He doesn't own a bunch of things. He's not in the top 10 in real estate here. He has his license, his name on a lot of things, but he isn't a big businessman, not by New York standards, not even close. Yet none of that's been mentioned.
There's an article on that in the New York Times yesterday, and they make that point. But also, when you look at the supporters for Donald Trump, they are behind a guy who they think knows how to make the deal, right? Whether or not his name is on it or not, he's making the deal. He has a perception of a guy who's getting things done.
Not in New York. Not where he is perceived to have gotten things done. I mean, all you have to do is Google it.
That's look.
And yet it's not a Google it cycle. It's an I'm mad cycle. How do you break that?
There's nothing that has happened so far that's been an attack on Donald Trump that has hurt his support in any meaningful way, right? So he's got a lot of Teflon quality in all of this, and I think it just comes back to channeling that anger and channeling that sort of can-do attitude that people are responding to. Whether or not he's got a plan doesn't seem to be the difference.
It's interesting to me that all the smart people say, well, it's not over yet, but they can't chart a path for any of these other candidates. Marco Rubio's not even winning in his home state. John Kasich has a lot of ground to make up. Ted Cruz is getting beaten up, just beaten up from all sides. And, he's a liar, he's a liar, he's a liar. And then you read the stuff and you're like,
Yeah, Super Tuesday, especially in Texas, is the last stand for Ted Cruz if he doesn't pull it off. Marco Rubio probably keeps going through Florida, which is March 15th. That's a winner-take-all state, a lot of 99 delegates. So there's a chance still for these guys to start to play catch-up. But they're coming from a further deficit than... And every step forward for Donald Trump is a step backwards for them.
And a huge step forward last night. Not a lot of delegates, but a lot of
momentum.
Yep. Glenn Hall from WSJ.com and the Wall Street Journal, thank you.